All right, folks. This is going to be my offlane tier list for the current patch, which, if I'm not dumb, is 7.37e. We should be getting a patch in a month. Within a month, probably to a month. Valve's pretty lazy. They don't really release patches for this game. Ice Frog's working on Deadlock, etc. But I actually think this patch is pretty good. I'm not always a big fan of e-patches. They can get really stale. But I think there's enough mix of what is good, what is broken, what is bad. Like it's kind of, it's all just kind of a melting pot, and it either comes out tasting good or it doesn't. And I think this patch tastes pretty good. Um, I'm a My name is Buffles. I'm a top 200 offlaner on NA, and I'm pretty passionate about the game. So let me get into this a little bit. This is my opinion. This is for pubs. This is not for pro play. You hear that on every YouTuber saying every tier list, and some of these heroes can go up or down a tier in the pro scene. Some of them have more use. Some of them have less use. I'm gonna start in D. I'm gonna go over uh, why I think these heroes work, why they don't. Some things to consider. Not only is maybe the strength of this hero, how much has it been nerfed, how much has it been buffed, but its place in the metagame, what you desire from an offlaner, and also its matchups versus the carry pool and maybe the support pool too. If this guy gets owned by a lich or an ogre in lane, like it can't do anything, no matter what support it has, it's not going to be very high in the tier list because you just can't get it off the ground. Starting with Venge, this was kind of a popular pick maybe about 6 months ago to 9 months ago. Um, the whole point was just to sit in front with an Ags and present yourself as you can either go on me and my team will turn on you like a Wraith King, or you don't go on me and I save somebody else. I think there's a little bit too much damage in the meta. I think a hero like Morphling, if we look at the top carries, or Spectre or Alk really don't give a fuck about Venge. It's kind of like an ignorable issue at this point. Also, her laning stage sucks because she doesn't farm and she doesn't own the lane. Like how is Venge beating Lich Alk? I don't really see it. Uh, she's just a little too weak to get out of that laning stage and then transition to like a fast Ags, which is what you want. You want like a 15-minute Ags, and that's just not happening this patch. Lone Druid, this is a hero that was super broken at TI because of the stats it gave with, I believe the facet's name, was it Unbearable? Bare Necessities. And that got nerfed really hard, and I haven't seen this hero since. Um, I've seen him maybe a few times, and when I do see this hero, it either has a free Lone Druid game, and the game it's kind of like a non-game, or it doesn't do anything. And while I believe some of this Zooey cheese is strong in the offlane, as you'll see up at the top tiers that I'm going to talk about, a Lone Druid doesn't build auras, and so he's a little too selfish for that role, and I don't think he's very strong. I think he's just nerfed. Batrider, this is just a better support in like every functional way. This hero dominates lanes with its new innate, and really enables cores rather than is a core itself. It's a pretty greedy 4. You can play it as a lane dominating 5. It's just not an offlaner. It doesn't have like strong timings. Like, do you really want your offlaner to be some blink drum spat? No, you kind of want it to be something up here. Because you can just have that from the support role just as effectively. This hero can stack like 2 or 3 camps and bam, have a fast blink and no problem. Necro has some good matchups, but it's just like this hero is good against Spectre, right? But it's not because Spectre just has a 13-minute Orchid. And this hero's like, well, what do I do? What items do you buy? Like this, it feels like this hero needs 6 items when you play it, to be unkillable and to do damage. And maybe in a perfect Necro game, you could pick this hero and stomp some people. But this hero is weak. It feels like it dies to a stiff breeze. It dies to Lich Shard. It dies to Clockwork. I don't see this hero doing anything ever. It doesn't have a stun. Yeah, there's no HP as well. Like if you play this hero, you're like sitting at 1200 HP. Like if you buy a Yules or something, because you have to buy a Yules, and then you're just sitting at 1200 HP and you die. NP, ever since they nerfed the tree a bunch. This hero's like really meh. Uh, my opinion, I think this hero's like a better mid laner. It was a carry with Glipnir and a mid laner with Glipnir. In the pro scene, this hero's higher value. Um, maybe you go some kind of like Ags ulti build. I've seen that. The hero's too weak. Yeah, heroes like Spectre, PA, Alk, Morph, they all just don't give a shit about you. And it's let's consider the best carries real quick. Definitely Alk, Dragon Knight. None are gonna be in it. Bloodseeker, Gyros, kind of strong. Deuce is okay. PA for sure. PA is really strong. Spectre. Ursa's alright. Mag. He's played in like all roles. We'll get to him. Yeah, and so if you just look at those heroes and then look at NP, it's just not, there's no good matchups there. Pudge, this hero doesn't do anything as an offlaner unless you are some hook master and maybe you rush a blink, but you can do that from support. This hero is really OP as a pos 5. If you can land hooks, this hero is broken. This is one of the best heroes in the game if you are a hook master. I will win games solely off some Pudge hitting 4 hooks in lane. And he also has a fantastic save shard, but all that is support stuff. It's not an offlaner. Slardar, this hero just generally feels weak. If you want minus armor, there are 3 heroes that do that way better than Slardar, and we'll get to them. But his laning stage sucks. His farming capacity sucks unless you max W, and he's like kind of a lifestealer jug owner, you'd think, but even with leg day, this hero is like bad against Ogre and Lich. I really feel that way. Sprint's too high a cooldown. What is our cooldown on level 1 sprint? Is 29 seconds. What is Lich's cooldown on Q? Plus you got the shield, of course. 7 seconds. This is 7 seconds? What the fuck? I didn't even think about that. That's actually crazy. Kanka, this hero was being picked a TI with auras. And it's Grog Blossom or whatever. It just was like unkillable. You would just sit in front with all these auras and you'd make yourself unkillable and you'd make your team unkillable. And it just got nerfed, and I don't see this hero really doing anything. I think he's a pretty ignorable hero in fights. I don't think he actually saves anybody. And if you want to buy auras, there are just better heroes to do it. Also, his laning stage is ass with low levels. This hero's had decent laning stage from mid when you get maxed out Tidebringer early, but you don't get that in the offlane. And I don't think any fucking carry gives a crap about you. I'll mention the special sauce real quick. Earth Spirit. This is like specialty heroes, and heroes I think are actually okay or good, but they require the right game and they require the right player. So Earth Spirit is just a much better mid laner. It did get nerfed, but I can see the value some games in having an Earth Spirit as your offlaner. It's not as good as mid, but it can work if you really want to play really active. And I've seen it work. I think if you're a good Earth Spirit player and you're an offlaner, you can get away with it. Marcy, I think, is very similar. This is just a way better support, but this hero as a core is actually insane. Like even as a carry, like not just Marcy Io is insane, but not just Marcy Io. Marcy does so much damage. She can kill basically anyone. The problem with Marcy is you don't farm very well, and each item you have to buy is super important. You have to make like really good item decisions because people either die or they don't in your bar. And if they don't die, you don't get gold. You're not snowballing. If you do buy the right items and they do die, you get to keep playing the game. That's how I see Marcy. Broodmother, I really don't know. You can look at my Broodmother. Do I know anything about Broodmother? Absolutely not. Smurf hero. I think the biggest thing about Brood is you have to really understand where you should be on the map. As soon as you're in the wrong place, as soon as you TP to the wrong place on Brood, it's like a 5-minute setback, I feel like. Not just because you have to place webs, but because you're just not pressuring the right part of the map. And Do you really want to play this into a lot of the meta stuff? No, not really. Um, Worf and Alk. That sounds pretty awful. Um, but if you're a good brood player, you can really cheese some matchups. You can really do well. I think it's special sauce. Abaddon. I've lost to this offlane, and this is one of the best supports in the game. I think this is top 5 supports in the game. This hero is really broken. Its facet's really broken, and I think as an offlaner, it's back when it had its old 4-hit passive, it was much stronger with the Manta timing. You can still do that. It's nowhere near as strong, but I think in the right games, if you really want like a presentable, unkillable frontliner, this is way better than Kunkka or Necro, I think. Just the versatility. Monkey King, this is like a big bias. You can see I'm level 30. I think you're against the right carry, like Lifestealer, you will absolutely dumpster the lane. And this hero's OP, right? This hero's like first phase ban and pick in the pro scene. Simeon just makes you so active in hero, and I think he has top 3 shards in the game. The shard one-shots creep waves, and he doesn't need to buy a farming item. He can just go like Diffusal Bar or Mage Slayer Bar and have a ton of impact. And I see, look, again, this is for pubs, and I think in the right pub, you got a last pick, you pick Monkey King, you can do a lot of work. I've seen it. We'll go into mediocre, sometimes pickable. I think these heroes are situationally okay and situationally awful. Let's see. Razor. I am not a Razor player. I guess I have some games. What the fuck? I don't like this hero. This hero, of course, is like you pick this to... It's an anti-carry hero. You pick it to shut down the Gyro, the Dusa, just to really... But I don't... Do you really want that to be your offlaner? I feel like you want your offlaner to be strong in and of itself, not necessarily just to shut down the enemy carry, but to have a greater impact, to be a core. The offlane is much greedier than I'd say the mid. They call it pause 3, but I think the offlane is really just pause 2 at this point. And while Razor can be played as a carry hero, it's probably better as a carry. I just don't feel like it fills any role you want as an offlaner. Pangolier. Man, it makes me sad to say my boy Pango sucks, but Thunderbolt is just like trash. It's not super trash. This hero still has some really great assets. It has minus 13 armor with the talent on its E. It can do a shit ton of damage. It can be really survivable, and it can have some great initiation. Typically, mid laners will go Diffusal Thunderbolt, and off laners will go Double Jump Echo or Auras. It's just weak. It can have a good laning stage. It can have a lot of mid game impact. I still pick it. I still like it, but I have a lot of experience on the hero, and I can hit my rolls even without Thunderbolt. And it's just like okay. It's like a meh. It's like a very meh hero. It's pickable. Brew. I am not a brew player. I do not know the inner and outer workings of the hero, but I do see that it's not very strong. And I think they nerfed this and Multiplier a lot. And also his ult. Yeah, your Brewlings just like die right now. I feel like there are good games for Brewmaster, probably, where you can really ball up and your Brewlings are unkillable and you can buy the right auras. But right now this hero just seems too weak, too nerfed. I mean, that's a high win rate. If we look at Dota 2 Pro Tracker, real quick, this hero has a high win rate but low picks. I think, we could probably bump. It's probably not. It's probably not C tier. It's probably a little bit better. If you're a brew player, this is definitely a decent hero. If you're not a brew player, this is a shit hero. Underlord. I think this hero is the epitome of mediocrity. You pick it to for wave clear. You either pick it to push or you pick it to stall. And I don't know. I think there are just 10 heroes that do the push thing better with buying auras. And yeah, he has some nice global presence, and this Ags is pretty good. So he has his games for sure, but just generally overall, This hero also gets abused in lane by like Morphling. I don't. It's just not strong. Primal. So this is like pretty low placement for Primal. You could even put him maybe in B tier. But in the pro scene, this hero is way better. I think this hero is a better mid laner. Romp and Stop got really nerfed. This was a really fun build with Bloodstone Ferocity, but they changed it, and now it's not really good. You can see Primal has a lot of picks, but it doesn't have a good win rate in the off lane. It does in the mid lane. And I don't know. I'll watch Collapse play this hero. I don't see as many games from like those kind of players on this hero anymore in pubs. I think it's hard to pull off. The S&Y build is good. Sometimes like a game for its ags for like breaking multiple people is really good. But I just don't. I think it's weak. I think you don't have the best laning stage, and you have to cut waves, and it's hard to play against a lot of the meta supports like Shadow Demon and stuff. Centaur. I really like Centaur. I have really good stats with Centaur. This hero is just okay. If you need a stun and his ult is high value that game, like it's high value to get on. This hero is super good against Lina. This is one of the better picks against Lina. So if you see Lina, you could and maybe another ranged core, you could consider Centaur. I think its Ags is really good. It's maybe even broken in a lot of situations. I've won games solely off the Ags. I feel like its laning stage is meh. Its ability to farm is pretty good. What I find is I'm low a lot of the time on Centaur. It's kind of hard to farm with high HP, like you used to be able to. I don't know if people remember this when Seeds and Safety Bubble were first released. This hero was like so broken, the Shiva's meta. And since then, it's just been nerfed after nerfed. It's got a nice facet. It's got two nice facets. You can go Counter-Strike. If I'm against Ursa or Monkey King, I'll go Counter-Strike so I can buy phase boots. And this hero is definitely pickable. It just isn't very strong. That's why it's at the top of C tier. We covered Brew. Okay, Visage. Visage, for the average player, I think this is historically, one of the least picked heroes of all time. And for the average player, Visage is not he's gotten easier to play over time. This facet death toll is still broken. In lane, it's can be hard to play against him because you don't want to trade. You want to either just kill him or not, and a lot of lanes just trade. So I think he has a decent laning stage. You could maybe put him up a little bit, but for the average player, he's too hard, I think. He does buy good auras, but he has a hard time scaling sometimes. His best way of scaling is like a pick-off Ags build with like an Orchid or a Sheep. And I think that's pretty meh. Like, I think there's heroes that do that better. And he just isn't strong enough, I think. Like a few buffs, like a small buffs, he would be higher. But the nerfs to death toll, plus just the way the hero functions to scale isn't very good. If you want a death ball push, there are better heroes. Why do I have Visage up here? That's funny. Sand King. I'm a big Sand King enjoyer, a big Sand King believer. This year I have like a really high win rate with Sand King. It's like, let's check. Yeah, it's 70%. Like I spam Sand King. It's been nerfed. Dust Devil I don't think is an option personally. I've maybe seen it once, and it's just trash, right? The cooldown's trash. The radius is trash. This hero actually can be pretty squishy. The best way to play against Sand King is pick a hero that kills it for sure. Like Doom or Disruptor or Enigma or some kind of spell that's like, yeah, the Sand King's dead. There's no shenanigans. He's not getting an old Bloodstone off. He's dead. But this hero has an okay laning stage. It's definitely not good against like Morphling. It's very good against the like Alcandusa. It's very good against heroes that want to farm the two camps, the small camp and the medium camp behind the tower, because you can drag the waves to it and just steal those camps, or you can just steal those camps if you're left alone. And this hero power farm's still really hard, takes stacks, has some strong timings, Bloodstone Blink. Or I like Blink first a lot more nowadays. I think getting into the game is more important than trying to hit some massive timing, because that timing has been nerfed, right? Just having a Bloodstone is nerfed, but having a Blink isn't really nerfed. I'm a big fan. I still play the hero. I still pick the hero. I see a lot of value in it, but it has been nerfed quite frequently, and I don't think the stats back it up too hard. If we look, it has a poor pick rate, yeah, and a bad win rate, and I think it takes some skill and finesse to work this hero. But I still think he can be very strong. Legion is a pub hero. Legion, this hero, man, how long has this hero sucked in competitive? I don't even know. This hero has such a linear thought process, and it's so, the dichotomy is either it's countered or it's not. It's easy to duel or it's hard to duel. And if you pick this hero in a pub in a game where it's easy to duel and you can have a good lane, it's like a free win, I feel. And Stone Hull Plate's still pretty good. It can like really bully people in lane. It's hard countered by raindrops, but that's okay. I think its matchups kind of suck though. Alchemorph, like we were talking about, the carries that matter, pretty bad against. I think it's pretty good against like PA, but it's bad against Ursa. I don't think it's a weak hero by any metric, and that's why I have it as high as I do. It can really just abuse pubs, man. I think these kinds of pick-off heroes that someone's just changing their Spotify playlist, or they're dicking around on TikTok, and Nyx or Spectre all of a sudden pops them in the jungle or in the side lane. Same concept. Boom. It's like it's huge. It's game winning. You get Roche off it. You get more kills off it, etc. Mars is a very good hero against save heroes. And you would say, well, why? And that's because of his facet that obscures the vision. Now, this hero is very finicky in the sense that it can fall off really hard if you're not, but it can also scale. I mean, it can't scale, but with refresher and stuff. But it can fall off pretty hard if you're not getting good arenas. And in competitive, it's a lot better, right? You just arena one guy, kill him, reset. But in pubs, I think this is it's a simple hero, but it's not an easy hero at all. Those are two different things, simple and easy. Think simple and complex, easy and hard. Two different scales. This really got to hit your spears. Sometimes you really got to hit arena spear into arena. Its laning stage is okay. It also has some bad matchups though, like Morphling. It's like meh. PA, meh. I mean, PA is pretty squishy, so maybe it's fine. But you have to keep up the pace with this hero. You can't fall off. Or it has to be a really good game for arena, playing against like a Wyvern or something. Then the hero's good. Earthshaker. This hero is OP and broken as fuck. Sluggard does way too much damage when you ult some people on a creep wave. Now, its laning stage as an offlaner is worse than as a mid laner can be a big bully, and it gets. But I quite like it as an offlaner. I play it as an offlaner. I see it do well in pubs as an offlaner. You have to know how to play the lane. You have to know how to not feed. You have to know how to get your blink. You can take stacks. I've had supports make a 4 stack of the large and the ancient, and you echo it. If they come to contest it, you can echo them and the stack, and you don't have to hit the stun. The echo damage will just kill them. That's a little tip that if anyone's trying to contest you, you can do. This hero is just really strong, and it's hard for me to say it's not an offlaner when you can definitely play it as one. Is it a better mid laner? Absolutely. It's not even that. Yeah. It's high picked as a mid laner. But as an offlaner, it's fine. It's just a little more fragile, I'd say. A little less consistent. Desires its timings, can fall behind. Axe. Axe is like, I want to say he's mediocre, but he's really not. Um, Ever since they changed his shard and his ags, and then nerfed the damage to his E, as well as the talents, like his Culling Blade talent, I think this hero's scaling is a little worse. But uh, his shard's pretty good. His landing stage is okay. He can cut waves. He can take stacks. Even though he's a little fragile at taking stacks, this can be hard if you don't get like a shovel with salves to take ancient stacks. But he's such a timing dependent hero. Like, when do you get your blink? When do you get your blade mail? How fast can you get it? And then what can you do with it? Like, once you have that timing, Axe, I think the better the enemy players are, he's like Legion, the better the enemy players are, the worse the hero is. He's kind of dependent upon the enemy to either be forced to fuck up or fuck up. And good, sometimes I'll be fed on, I'll be like 3-0, had a good lane, height like 6k at 10, have a blink blade mail real quick, and then everyone just disappears off the map and you can't gank anyone and your smokes don't work out and it's really hard to find people, and even if you find someone, everyone else is farming, and then the hero just falls off, right? You have to get kills with the blink blade mail. Now it does, I think the Bloodstone build is good. I think getting the 25 talent can be really strong. It's just that scaling has been nerfed, but I think it's still there. It still exists. It still has good matchups against Morphling and PA. And I definitely wouldn't. That's why it's at the top of B. I wouldn't consider it off the table for pro play, or sorry, for pub play. Pro play, definitely this hero sucks. And we're moving on to the A tier. These are just super good heroes. You can pick them in the second phase really comfortably, and you might have one or two bad matchups, and you can do fine. Starting with Phoenix, this hero with Dying Light is just a lane bully. You also see this get played mid. I think Quinn was playing it mid a little while ago, a few weeks ago. What's there to say, man? I've beaten like life stealers in lane. Like I just this hero with maxed out fire spirits and dying light does a lot of damage. And it farms really fast. It has a lot of impact. Well placed eggs will always do well in team fights. Its shard is really broken with its double sunray. You can buy a multitude of items. Mostly you want Shivas, but some games you can buy Radiance, you can buy Vessel, you can get, and it scales. Like, if you know what you're doing in this hero, you scale with Refresher. And the biggest problem with Phoenix and why I would never place him higher is he doesn't have a stun, and he's very reliant on your 4 being a melee hero with initiation and a stun. A Shaker, a Clock, a Tusk, a Tiny, a Nyx. It has to be. I would never pick Phoenix if I did not have one of those or knew I was going to have one of those. I think you're kind of griefing. You're a team hero that's dependent upon other heroes in the draft to be a good pick. I think that's the biggest weakness of the hero and why it's at the bottom of A. Terrorblade? Yeah, man. A high skill hero. You buy pipe and you put the illusion in the lane and you push the lane for free. And you take towers and you press Q on the enemy carry, and yeah, real high skill. I don't have a lot of respect for people who pick this hero, but I will say I respect the hero when I see it in the draft because it is very strong. This hero owns in lane. Man, I feel like so many carries they can't fight into the huge amount of armor this hero has, plus reflection. And like reflection blood grenade meta at level 2 is a kill. He buys this. He can go like pipe orchid or like just pipe carry, and that to me, there's something off-putting about it. It's strong. Don't get me wrong. It's fallen off quite a bit. It was like at the top of Dota 2 Pro Tracker, and now it's at it got nerfed, and now it's not very high. But I still think in a pub, I think in like a competitive setting, this hero's way not that good. It's more like C or B. But in pubs, I think you just dominate the lane, and maybe you do fall off a bit, especially compared to these other heroes. But if you're ending the game in 20 minutes, what does that even freaking matter? Once again, though, you don't have a stun. Timber. This may be a little biased. Timbersaw's stats aren't the most reflective of his position, but I think this hero is super strong and good in basically any game. Even against bad matchups, I think this hero is good because he does a lot of damage. You can go a lot of different builds paths. If your team needs Shivas, if you want to get the Ags, Bar, Pipe, you can be more of a frontliner. You can be more of a damage dealer. The one thing is you do not have a stun. It can be a lane bully, absolutely. Shredder is a fantastic facet that deceptively does a lot to secure kills, to do damage. That slow is just really good. Timber gets another slow. Mid lane, it takes the other facet, but I'm not talking about the mid lane Timber. I think that's a lot weaker. This hero can be very feast or famine. This hero can feed, and you know, if you're bad at this is a high skill hero. If you're bad at this hero, I would never pick this hero. If you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know matchups, and even I lose games and I buy the wrong items still, and I have a lot of games on the hero. But I think just generally speaking, he has pretty decent matchups against like Alk, and he can have a good matchup against DK. And if you ever see, whenever I see Terrorblade offlane on the enemy team, I pick Timber immediately because you hard counter him. Doom. So people have really like innovated on the Doom, and I honestly might just put this hero. He could probably. Why is Darkseer here? What the? I messed up the list. Sorry guys. I might put him here. This SNY drums fast build is really good. You're not so reliant on blink, but you can always sell an item and get blink for the fight, and then sell the blink. So what the Devil's Bargain facet does that no other hero can do is you basically have a net worth that is transferable. So you buy stocks, and you can always sell the stock to buy some other stock. Other heroes can't do that. They buy stock, and then if they want to sell stock, they lose half of it. Doom doesn't lose half of it. He still has it. He can transfer his power into different items and different timings. And it's super high skill, but it's also super high impact. And that speed build is with the SNY. SNY is the best item in the game, guys, by the way. If you buy SNY, if you can buy SNY on one of these heroes, they're instantly better. Is really strong. And you can still scale with Octarine and Refresher, Shivas. This hero has great matchups. It's good against Morphling. It's good against Alk. It's good against Gyro. It's good against Bloodseeker. Yeah. In retrospect, it doesn't deserve to be an A. It deserves to be an S. In pro play, it's first phase pick ban. I didn't mention Darkseer because he was left up here for some reason. This hero's ass. Yeah, he's probably Slardar. Ever since they changed his innate, he had the best innate in the game, where he got free stats, basically. This hero's just weak. I think it has a bad laning stage. I think it doesn't scale very well. I think Wall is like a pretty ignorable ability for a lot of the meta carries. And, he's just so mediocre you don't feel his impact. He's even kind of squishy. Anyway, sorry he was up there. Dawnbreaker. Dawnbreaker is the most picked offlaner on Dota 2 Pro Tracker. And I think this is another hero. She's strong. There's like no doubt about it. She's strong. But the higher skilled the game, the worst hero she kind of is. Unless you are an adaptive Dawnbreaker. You can either go like a kind of kill build with like Echo Deso or Echo Orchid. Or you can go a more tanky utility build with like Ags and other items like Mage Slayer maybe. Blade Mail. Pipe even. So this hero has some really great versatility. It's really good in lane, strong in lane. It can buy S and Y. It does a lot of things right. It checks a lot of boxes. Stun. But you're not a great initiator. You're a much better counter initiator, and you're a much better follow-up. So you have a Clockwork who hook shots in, then you ult. So you're a bit team dependent. You're a bit draft dependent. And as well, good players will hunt you. Good players will not go make a move on the side of the map you were not on. Like bad players will go to your opposite side of the map. Don's farming top, they'll go make a play bottom. Don gets a free ult. Don's farming. Good players will hunt you, kill you, then take a fight. And so the higher skill you go, I think the more this hero takes more finesse to play, but is undoubtedly strong. Bristle. Uh, Bristle. Snot Rocket is S. Bristle. Seeing Red is A or B. And maybe that'll be unpopular of a take for a lot of players playing this hero. I don't really care. Seeing Red is greedy. It's good. It's strong. It has some great games, but it's so greedy. I'll watch Collapse play this hero, and he will not move his camera to other lanes for 15 minutes. He will just focus on himself and his farm, stacks, ag shard, bloodstone timing. And look, when that works, when it's strong, that's strong. But it's easily shut down. It's very you're actually much more easy to shut down. If you're playing against counters, you're gonna have a much harder time and having any impact in the game. It's more volatile. You're more likely to go 20-0. You're more likely to go 1-20. You know what I mean? But Snot Rocket. Now Snot Rocket is the facet with the much higher win rate and almost the same pick rate now. And Snot Rocket is broken. If you want, when we were talking about Slardar, if you want negative armor, you should be picking Snot Rocket Bristleback. This hero is the biggest abuser of S and Y. Oh, you broke me? Oh, well, I'm hasted. So good luck hitting me while I'm broken. Oh, you stunned me? I have 25% status resistance because that's a balanced aspect of the game. Now, the best part of Snot Rocket Bristleback is you can buy ores. You can afford to buy that pipe. You can afford to buy that crimson, and you'll still be so high impact. You'll still do a shit ton of damage. You'll put the enemy support at minus 20 armor. You'll click him 3 times, and he's dead. And that to me is so much better, even in a pub setting. You know, you might want to go Seeing Red and solo carry 1v9 the pub, and that might work sometimes. But if I have a rank 50 carry and he picks any physical damage dealer, and I see maybe a matchup or two, and I'm just gonna go Snot Rocket because it doesn't matter what the enemy carry picks. I'm gonna have high impact. It doesn't matter if they go on me. I played a game where I would just I play several games with Snot Rocket Bristleback, and I would just run in and not go far ahead of my team and make them all go on me, and I would die, but I'd get 4. It'd be 1 for 4 easily because they'd all be good. They just good. The shard is super broken on this hero. You need to be buying the shard at 15 minutes. And like I said, Snot Rocket is S. Seeing Red is B. We talked about Doom. Lycan. I don't like Lycan. These are my Lycan stats, bro. 2022. Now, let's get something straight. I think there's still a lot of innovation to be had on this hero. I think this is kind of a recent come up. But this hero's OP. And why this hero's OP? Because of this. Like, pack leader's nice. People take pack leader. This is why the hero's OP. These wolves are nuts. These wolves solo kill supports. These wolves don't give a fuck. You can't kill them. They're canceling your blink. And good luck, man. And the other part is his shard. Get those wolves from the shard. Get everything that the alpha wolves get, as well as they can cripple towers, which I don't know if anyone has read this bottom line here. Additionally, wolves spawn this way may cripple towers. I mean, like, okay. So basically what you're saying is creep waves are always pushing in, even when they're going in the tower, because that tower has no attack speed. Now, what people are doing on this hero, if we go to the tracker and we check people out, they're just going boots Midas or Midas boots. And the reason why they're going Midas is so they can hit these talents and they can hit the max level summon wolves. And they are having their hero parked on your side of the map in the jungle, hitting creeps, while the wolves do all the work. And once again, minus armor is prevalent here. The -3 Howl armor reduction is what people take. At night it's global. That's 10 armor. It's much better than a Deso. It's a level 1 Slardar ult or whatever. Yeah, and you can just like fight when you have R, AFK when you don't, and you're still impactful. And this hero's really fucking annoying. He buys useful items, kills supports with nullifiers and orchids and stuff. And I don't know. It's not strong in lane, but it also doesn't care about the lane, which is you can jungle on this hero. Actually, I saw a jungle Lycan. He was griefing, but he was level 7 at 10 minutes with a Midas. He continued the grief by not playing the game, but I felt like he could have played the game, started playing the game then, and just had huge impact. So here's S. Enigma. Enigma is a fantastic hero. He has two amazing facets. I prefer splitting image because it turns in the laning stage. I think it's much better. It like turns fights. And even if you die, 2 Eidolons, you'll have extra Eidolons to help you get kills back. Ever since you can just summon Eidolons and they have your health and stuff, it's just a really strong hero. Lane Dominator, no one can deny like Enigma can deny. If you don't have a way to go on his Eidolons or him and clear them, you will lose the lane simply by the fact he will get at least 10 denies. Very simply. This hero is one of the best buyers of pipe, one of the best buyers of boots of bearing. Shard is excellent. He is not relying upon Black Hole to be a high impact hero. You do not necessarily care if you play against stuff like Rubik and Wyvern because you press Q on them with the Shard and you put all your Eidolons on them and they're like, oh fuck, what do I do? And you pipe and you just don't care. And then once the fight has developed, you can Black Hole. So what people do is they buy 1 or 2 auras, then they go blink BKB and play for Black, and then Octarine and play for Black Hole. And this is a hero I abuse for MMR. This is a hero I think you should learn if you want to pick a Zooey type hero. I'm not a Zoo player. I hate Zoo, but I like and enjoy Enigma. And his win rate is fantastic, and his stats are fantastic. And you can watch a lot of good pro players play him right now and learn a whole lot about the offlane role. Mag. If you ask me, I'm not a Mag player. I suck at this hero. This hero doesn't have a facet, and it's like really broken. And I don't know why. If I'm reading, let me just read a few things. He has a built-in 50% slow resistance. I mean, that's just naturally OP. He one-shot Shockwave with the Shard. Skewer is doing a lot of extra damage for trees and cliffs. Like, max Skewer, you hit 1 cliff, it's 125 extra damage. It's very easy to hit 4 or 5 trees, you know? And RP is still a 3.5 second BKB piercing stun. And he has some fantastic talents. He's played in all 5 roles. I don't know what is his best role at all, but I can tell you he is the 3rd most picked offlaner. He's a high pick mid, a low pick carry, a high pick support, and he's just super high impact. He's a very solid laning stage, farms very fast, can go a right click build or can go a magic build with Kayayasha. You'll see that quite a lot into like Refresher. That's what like Seb does. Let's see. Arise. He's just OP. Like, I can't tell you all the reasons why because I don't play him. But from my perspective, it can be very difficult to play against this hero because of all the ways he can play. You know, Beastmaster. Another hero I don't play. I really don't play this hero. Yeah, see. But he is one of the top picked offlaners and with a decent win rate. And most people take beast mode, and that's the worst facet. Wild Hunt is the better facet. For those that don't know, this is the Dominator. This is the not Dominator Ags build. So he's versatile. He can go 1 or 2 builds. It's kind of like Bristleback, right? Where 1 is more active, 1 is more team focused, and 1 is more farmy, stack requirements. You need stacks. But he can make his own stacks without leaving the lane. This is a very big strength of this hero. I think the biggest boon of this hero is his ultimate. This ultimate's crazy good. It's just a BKB piercing stun on a very low cooldown. 60 seconds, 4 second BKB piercing stun. In competitive, and in pubs is just very fantastic. He does a lot of damage. He pushes lanes. He pressures really hard. He can sometimes be very hard to kill. Even though the Axe build has been nerfed like 20 times, it's still good. And but he is susceptible to being ran over, I think, especially when you go beast mode. He can be abused, just like Bristleback. He can be farmed. He can be hard to get a foothold into the game sometimes. But when he's allowed to farm and allowed to get his timings, he's super strong. And I forgot to mention, he can solo Roche as soon as he hits Ags. Or I don't know if you can do it with the Helm Dom too, but I know that most of the time, if Beastmaster is on one of the teams, he's getting that first Roche. And there's nothing anyone can do about it because people aren't ready. It's so early that people aren't ready for it. Yeah. Night Stalker is our final hero. And this is an upset because no one thought this hero was good after they changed it so pressing R doesn't refresh your abilities. People are like, oh, this is a dead hero. And it turns out, no, Night Rain is too good. And there's some other qualities of this hero I think are underrated. Is innate. He's just got way more health regen in the night, and it's night way more often with Night Rain. 30 seconds more at night, right? 15 seconds less of day, 15 seconds more of night, 30 seconds more. And like that allows you to extend a fight when you're on the threshold of night and day, because good players, this is why this hero is not so good in competitive, will abuse how weak he is at day and when his ult is on cooldown, because his ult has a long cooldown. But in pubs, people ain't doing that shit, even on my MMR. So he's just always strong, it feels like, never weak. And the biggest thing is S and Y. I think if S and Y wasn't so broken, this hero wouldn't be seen. But everyone just needs to read that left 15 talent. 35% status resistance. Yeah, you combine that with S and Y, you are at 50%. You cannot stun this guy. I'm playing a stunner on the enemy team, and I just can't stun him, man. I'm like, fuck. Like, I have to stun him, or he's going to kill my guy. But if I stun him, it doesn't do anything. And then I can't stun his teammates. And it's just, this should not be in the game. It's utterly bullshit. And because this hero was always weak in lane, right? The first 5 minutes, abuse the Night Stalker. Stop him from getting anything. Your carry's level 5 and he's level 3. Doesn't happen anymore because he starts at night. Blinding Void is almost never picked, even though there was a lot of discussion when these facets first came out. It had a decent win rate and people were picking it. Yeah, you just don't do that. I mean, Night Rain's the way to go. To me, for a pub setting, this hero is the best offlaner. He can buy a lot of different like initial items: Blade Mail, Echo, Phylactery, a Blink, and then he just gets the S and Y. And he gets the S and Y, and he gets this level 15, and he has a shard, and he is just flying around in a team fight, silencing everybody, and being unkillable because he's unstunnable. He's got some great matchups. I think he's really good against DK, against Alk, against Morph. He's okay. Gyro, he's good against. He's bad against Bloodseeker, and I think kind of bad against PA. And he break. Probably the best way to play this against this hero is break, because then he's just, or Phoenix, because as soon as he loses movement speed, he's a sitting duck. But I don't know, man. This hero does too much. And I was pretty extensive. I hope I gave a lot of details, a lot of my experience. I boiled it down well. Maybe help you guys understand why these heroes are good, maybe some of their weaknesses, and when to pick them, and kind of just a general idea. You know, I don't play a lot of the best heroes. I don't play Lycan. I don't play Beast. I don't play Mag. But, you know, I know when to, since I know kind of what they want to do and their weaknesses, I know how to play against them a little bit better, and I can adjust my pick. Like, if I see Lycan, I'm probably picking, like, Phoenix, to be honest, or maybe Bristleback. If I see Doom, well, Doom counters everybody, but I might pick someone like Legion or Centaur, ult the guy who's getting doomed away, you know? Stuff like that. So, anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. Hope this helped. See you next time.